how domestic violence cases have risen during the pandemic.
The instant that shelter-in-place order was lifted, phones were ringing off the hook. It was crazy.
The impact of young voters in the 2020 election.
I don't think I probably felt like my vote mattered in that moment.
And how UGA is doing their part in helping food insecure families.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening and welcome to Grady Newsource. I'm Jenna Maddox. Coronavirus cases are increasing in Georgia after reaching 3,603 yesterday. The pandemic has pushed schools to teach online, businesses to struggle, and people to spend more time at home than ever. However, not every home is a safe place. Grady Newsource reporter Cassidy Hannon has more on domestic violence during the pandemic.
It reads loud and clear on the homepage of domestic violence nonprofit Peace Place Inc.'s website. Domestic violence has increased in Georgia during COVID-19. But Executive Director Tracy Bledsoe says their organization, which provides resources and services in Banks, Jackson, and Barrow counties, wasn't expecting the results to be as noticeable as they were.
During that shelter-in-place period, when we knew that the number of incidents were increasing, our phones stopped ringing. I mean, we didn't receive nearly as many calls as we usually do.
Bledsoe attributes that silence to the fact that victims were stuck at home with their abusers, with tensions high, unable to get a moment alone to reach out.
The instant that shelter-in-place order was lifted, phones were ringing off the hook. It was crazy.
But the challenges of the pandemic didn't stop there. Bledsoe says Peace Place is licensed by the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, which means there are restrictions on what they can ask someone seeking help.
If a caller called and we were considering bringing them into shelter, we couldn't say, have you been exposed? Have you tested positive? Do you have any symptoms? We couldn't ask anything.
Despite these limitations, Bledsoe says Peace Place has yet to see a positive test result for a staff member or shelter resident. Right now, their main concern is fundraising to support the now full shelter. Jackson County Sheriff Janice Mangum was the special guest speaker at Peace Place's annual vigil in October. Sheriff Mangum says Jackson County is fortunate to have Peace Place, and she will always be a strong advocate for the work they do. Anyone experiencing domestic violence can call Peace Place's 24/7 crisis hotline at the number below. Cassidy Hannon, Grady Newsource.
Coronavirus and high poverty levels in Athens push homeless shelters to the brink. Grady Newsource reporter Jack Sadigan shows us how this forced residents to form their own community.
Right down the street from Bigger Vision Homeless Shelter on North Avenue, Athens residents took to creating a shelter of their own. Bigger Vision volunteer Lily Johnson says they simply don't have enough space.
We only have 34 beds, and we've gotten even more demand since coronavirus got going. So we've had to turn a lot of people away recently.
Johnson says the tent community started forming about a month ago and has really grown in size in the last week or so. That's when Reeves Jackson, who lives right around the corner, noticed the tent community.
Well, since the coronavirus pandemic obviously broke out, it just seems like they really have nowhere to go. So that's where they end up heading.
Bigger Vision put into place a meal program that helps feed those in need from 5:30 to 7 p.m. each day. Reporting from Athens, Jack Sadigan, Grady Newsource.
Hillsman Middle School in Athens, Clark County will be returning to virtual learning for the remainder of the week due to a positive COVID case in the school community. 6th grade social studies teacher Miller Barnett says that they were notified of the switch at 4:05 p.m.
They just said that there was a positive case in the school, and that effective immediately we were going to be going virtual. And they just said that it's frustrating and it wasn't an easy decision, but it was for the safety of everyone, for all parties involved.
The school says that they will begin contact tracing in the next 2 days. They intend to resume in-person instruction on Monday, November 30th. Latest election update. Tonight at midnight is the deadline for the mandatory risk limiting audit imposed by the Georgia Secretary of State. After the audit was announced on Wednesday, November 11th, all of Georgia's 159 counties had to spring into action to complete the audit. Today, 5 of our Northeast Georgia counties, Clark, Barrow, Jackson, Oconee, and Oglethorpe, have completed the audit ahead of schedule. Early voting for the Senate runoff races here in Georgia begins in less than a month, and candidates are still trying to gain the support of voters. With all eyes on Georgia, one speaker is urging locals to take action. Grady Newsource reporter Jillian Tracy has more.
As media pundit and author Ann Coulter finished out her speech here on UGA's campus last night, she had one final message to her audience: get out and start canvassing voters. Trey Lance, the president of Turning Point USA here at UGA, one of the organizations that hosted Coulter's speech, says that one of the key takeaways from hearing Coulter talk is her criticism of both political parties.
At Turning Point USA, we don't include political sides. We're nonpartisan, so we're all about ideals like the Constitution, free speech, Second Amendment, things like that. And for her to come and be able to point out the shortcomings of both parties, that's what I really enjoyed.
Georgia still remains a battleground election state, with 2 U.S. Senate seats up for grabs. Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler are vying to keep their seats from being occupied by Democrat challengers Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Coulter's stop here at UGA was planned before the Senate election runoffs were announced, and is just one of many stops on a campus tour she's doing across the country. Coulter's speech was live streamed on YouTube, but some attendees chose to come in person and see her speak at Tate Theater. The Tate Student Center says that the capacity in the theater is limited to 100 people, and seats are spaced and marked with a "Sit Here" sticker. The Tate Center says that they work closely with student organizations to communicate COVID-19 guidelines, and that all event spaces have been modified to ensure 6 feet of social distancing. Ramin Zarian, the president for Young Democrats at UGA, says that as an organization, the Young Democrats decided that it would be best to ignore Coulter's appearance, saying that many members believe that reacting to the event could bring it more attention than it deserves. To cast a vote in the Senate runoff races, you must be registered to vote by December 7th. You can check your registration status online at mvp.sos.ga.gov. Early in-person voting will start on December 14th and continue until Election Day on January 5th. For Grady Newsource, I'm Jillian Tracy.
The state's latest election results show President-elect Joe Biden with a slight lead. But what was the key to Biden's historic victory in Georgia? Grady Newsource reporter Alex Merritt gives us the answer.
Haley Sizemore is a student at Kennesaw State University who says she voted for Joe Biden because of the Democratic Party's stance on education.
For me, I vote Democratic because as a future educator, I want to be able to give these kids the future that they deserve and that everybody deserves.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Hannah Arnold is a senior student at the University of Georgia who voted for President Trump in the last 2 presidential elections.
I'm not like a single party, single issue voter. I just think that he meets the needs I have in my head.
As a senior about to enter the job market, Arnold believes Donald Trump's economy is one that she can get a secure job in. Both Haley and Hannah are both young voters that are just part of a growing number of young voters in Georgia. The Pew Research Center is a nonpartisan fact tank that interviewed a combined 14,410 voters in 2016 and 2018. Research shows young voters make up a large portion of the electorate that didn't vote in those years. Young voters make up 1/3 of the electorate who didn't vote in 2016 or 2018. University of Georgia political science professor Trey Hood says there are multiple reasons why young voter turnout is normally low.
A lot of young voters are unsettled. In terms of mobility. They're not permanently located, they're moving around. Those kind of people are also less likely to vote because they don't feel like they have any roots in the community.
But why is this so important? Because voters who did vote in those elections voted primarily Democratic. In the 2016 general election, 58% of young voters voted for Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, while just 28% voted for President Trump. During the 2018 midterm elections, 72% of young voters voted for Democratic candidates, while just 23% voted for Republicans. Hood agrees that young voters in recent history have voted towards the Democratic Party.
Over the last decade or so, when they do turn out, younger voters have tended to favor the Democratic Party over the Republican Party.
Despite low turnout from young voters in past elections, Haley and Hannah are part of a growing age group that could see increased turnout in 2020, a year that has been filled with unprecedented events. You can learn more about these recent trends and patterns by checking out this story on our website, GradyNewsource.com. Alex Merritt, Grady Newsource.
Coming up, a petition to create a new historic district in Athens, and later how an annual turkey run is being impacted by COVID-19.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
The Athens-Clarke County Commission voted to make the west part of downtown Athens a local historic district. Over 1,000 local Athenians signed a petition to support this effort. The newly protected area includes historic properties across Lumpkin, Pulaski, and Washington streets. Executive Director of Historic Athens, Tommy Valentine, says buildings in West Downtown would be in danger of getting torn down if the commission did not pass this vote.
And it's very likely that without this type of protection, that if you were to come back in 10, 15 years, that side of town will no longer feel historic, important, or unique to Athens.
To find out more information about protecting historic places across Athens, go to historicathens.com. First Baptist Church Jefferson is continuing their tradition of their annual 5K turkey run for what will be the 12th year in a row this upcoming Thanksgiving Day. Things, however, will be a little different this year considering the race will take place during a pandemic. Grady Newsource reporter Cheyenne Jones tells us more.
Keith Ariel, coordinator for the race, says a lot of safety measures have been put in place to follow COVID-19 guidelines, but participation seems to be the same despite some minor changes.
Concerned, but with the restrictions we got, we had 540 runners last year, and as of today, we got 250, right at 250, and last year we had, this same day last year, we had 251.
Ariel is hoping that with the event being outdoors, they can maintain social distancing. Runners usually park at the First Baptist Church lot before the race, but will be moved to Jefferson High School's front parking lot to have more space before the race starts, and people will be required to wear a mask. Runners may remove their masks, but only during the race. Awards usually given at the end of the race will now be mailed or picked up at the church office. Ariel hopes by Thanksgiving Day the amount of signups will increase, so there will be food donations for the church's food bank. Ann Ferguson, organizer for First Baptist Church Jefferson's food bank, says COVID-19 really affected their amount of donations this year, but they hope to help more families as we enter holiday season. By November of last year, they had served over 1,600 families, and this year they are just a little over 1,000.
It's been a crazy year. We had to shut down for a while, but we did serve families through the school system because the school system was picking up lunches. So we were distributing that way.
The last day to sign up for the race is November 26th at 8 a.m. If you're interested in joining the race, visit runsignup.com for more information. Grady Newsource, Cheyenne Jones.
The son of Barrow Sheriff's Deputy Chris Parker, who is currently battling cancer, will get a special welcome home to Barrow County on Thursday. 5-year-old Keegan Parker has been receiving treatment for the past few weeks and has just been allowed by his doctors to return home. According to Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith, Keegan has had hard 2 weeks of treatment and has been advised by his doctors to rest his body. To welcome Keegan home, Barrow County Emergency Services will be escorting Keegan as a parade through the county. The parade will begin on Thursday at 4 p.m. at the Ingalls on Atlanta Highway in Auburn and make its way down Atlanta Highway through Winder. It will then make a right onto Monroe Highway in front of the Winder Publix and end at Bethlehem Church. The Barrow County Sheriff's Office is inviting residents to line the streets to give Keegan a warm welcome home.
After the break, I'll give you this weekend's weather and help you prepare for the cold nights.
Hi, I'm Peter. There's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in! Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Attention travelers, next Tuesday a major power outage will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Food, water, and phone service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
And now, the weather.
Good afternoon, I'm Maddie McQueen bringing you the weather from outside today. Highs reached the mid to low 60s today, but don't let the chilly air stop you from enjoying the rest of this clear-skied sunny day. Tonight, the temperature will be dropping down to 34 degrees. The National Weather Service says this puts us at risk for patchy frost until around 8 a.m. tomorrow. Looking ahead to this weekend, we warm up just a little, getting into the high 60s and low 70s. The clouds also start moving back in this weekend. With colder weather approaching, it's time to start thinking about how to prep your house. The CDC says to make sure your faucets are set to a drip and to leave cabinet doors open to allow warm air to circulate. For space heaters, FEMA recommends plugging them straight into the wall, at least 3 feet away from other objects that can catch fire. Both the CDC and FEMA warn that stovetops are not an acceptable space heater. With your Northeast Georgia weather, I'm Maddie McQueen.
Grady Newsource.
Coming up, Alex Joyce has sports. The UGA football team prepares for their game against Mississippi State, and a former UGA player is preparing for tonight's NBA draft.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
And now, sports.
Last week, the Dogs looked to get back in the win column against Missouri. However, that all changed when the game had to be postponed due to COVID-19 concerns. Now the Dogs look to this week's matchup against Mississippi State.
Leach has got a very different style of offense than what we typically see week to week in the SEC. A lot of the same concepts, but different ways of going about it. It's kind of a different type defending to defend these guys.
Mississippi State coach Mike Leach is bringing a new offensive heavy passing attack to the SEC this year. This should provide some challenges for the Bulldogs' 98th ranked defense. But everyone's favorite question always centers around the quarterback. And Coach Smart said last week that there was a quarterback competition. So the question is, has a starter been named yet?
No, the competition is going to continue throughout practice like it did last week.
The question many have been asking is about former five-star quarterback JT Daniels, who suffered a knee injury.
And a meal to be thankful for.
He's been running, 90.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Some food-insecure residents of Athens can enjoy a warm Thanksgiving meal this weekend thanks to Campus Kitchen at UGA, which is distributing prepared food for its annual Turkey Palooza. Grady Newsource reporter Melissa Guh has the story.
We want to make sure that people who are the most isolated and the most vulnerable during the holiday season have what they need to serve their family a nice holiday meal.
Andy Biseglia, Campus Kitchen Coordinator, says that's why Campus Kitchen at UGA, an organization that uses food waste to prepare grocery bags and meals for food insecure seniors in Athens, will host their 9th annual Turkey Palooza from November 19th to 21st. They will serve 170 prepared meals and 300 grocery bags filled with Thanksgiving meal ingredients, including a turkey and fixings. Campus Kitchen worked with Athens Community Council on Aging to fundraise and identify the families who will be served. Leslie Trier, Director of Programs and Services at Athens Community Council on Aging, says 20% of Athens Clark County was food insecure prior to COVID-19. Since the pandemic began, she has noticed an uptick in food insecure residents.
Prior to COVID, we were serving 181 people through what we called our traditional Meals on Wheels clients, 181 people a week. Since COVID began, we have served over 2,000 seniors or individuals with disabilities.
Trier says the causes of food insecurity, which includes financial struggles, difficulties with transportation, food deserts, mobility issues, and the inability to prepare food, have all been exacerbated by the pandemic. Although the holidays often inspire people to give back to their communities, Biseglia says people should consider helping those with food insecurity during other times of the year as well.
The holidays are what get the most focus, and then it's all the other times during the year that hunger relief organizations might actually struggle with having enough money or food.
Although food distributions help with immediate hunger needs, Biseglia says long-term solutions include connecting people to jobs and food stamps. Melissa Gugg, Grady Newsource.
I'm Jenna Maddox, and from all of us here at Grady Newsource, have a good night.
Is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
Hello.
Hi. I'm from Blue Hill Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come on in.
Brochettes, the sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away. Not to mention zucchini flour. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that,
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta. A different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Laughing too hard at one of your colleagues' jokes at the office party? He's not even funny. Warning sign. Those drinks are probably going to your head. Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five. Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay, but remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.